Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros Christmas Week edition. I am joined by none other than Crux of Crypto today on the stream. We're going to be getting into it here in just a second. It's going to be a lot of fun. Today we have some bullish news. You may not feel like there's bullish news by looking at the Bitcoin chart, but there is bullish news, bros. So hang on. We're going to get into it. We've also got a couple of altcoin picks here at the end of the stream that we will be telling you all about. You don't want to miss them. Got Crux on today. Let's get it. Hello, hello. How we doing, Crux?
What's going on, Tshroom? Hey, I just got back from New York. I had to celebrate a little Merry Christmas. It's been great. I'm back here in Dallas. Y'all can see Marty, the zebra, and I actually got him a little ornament.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
we're just over here chilling, getting ready for the holidays. I actually learned how to wrap a couple gifts. So
Very nice.
here we are. What's up, bros?
Yeah, we got Servando Estrada in the chat. Got JR Block reminding you all to smash the likes. Absolutely. And none other than Bedridden said, "Let's go, Crux is on." People excited to see Crux of Crypto, who is really awesome. If you have been in our Discord at any point in 2024, you have probably spoken to Crux of Crypto. And he's super awesome. Is super helpful in the Discord as well. And he's going to be joining me today, Tshroom, on the live stream. If you're interested in joining our Discord community, you can join it for free right here in the link below the video you're watching right now. So just go to the video, scroll down. You see this is the free link, and we'll be talking about some of the other links a little bit later on. Well, Crux, before we get into our altcoin picks a little bit later today, I wanted to jump into the Bitcoin charts because they have been somewhat bearish.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be taking a look at them here. I'll get your take overall in the markets, and then we would jump on in to some of the news and get into those altcoins later in the show. But let's take a look here at Bitcoin. It has had a pretty big retracement from its all-time high here of 108,283. All the way down to the live price is about it's 14.3% sell-off. Got about as low as 15%. You could call it a 15% retrace from the all-time highs. Now, this feels painful because it feels like every time we're able to get higher, right, there's a dump. And then we get a little bit higher, and then there's a dump. And then we're right back in that same pattern where we got another all-time high, but then there's a dump. Now, people who are experienced in trading, experienced in investing, they look at this type of chart, and this is very, very normal and honestly pretty healthy. Even though I will point out that we have had a lower low here, which is not what you want to see. We have had a lower low on the daily charts. But overall, this is very, very healthy. And especially when we zoom out to the weekly chart and really zoom out, you can see that this is a very healthy chart. Now, what you'll notice pretty quickly is that I've got these orange channels drawn. Now, this is the previous channel that went from March all the way to early November when we finally broke out to the upside. And I told you all through this period, I did not think that we were going to break out of this downtrending line of support, of this downtrending line of resistance until a special event in early November. Crux, do you remember what that event was?
I think that was a presidential race.
Ding, ding,
Right.
ding. That's
There we
correct.
go.
So yeah, that presidential election was November 5th. I'll draw a line right here. And it was exactly when we had the breakout, right? When Donald Trump was elected. He's our guy. He's Mr. Bitcoin now. And so that marked the beginning of this very explosive rally to the upside that from the breakout point marked a 58%, you could call it 60% breakout to the upside. So rounding it to 60%, that's impressive, right? So now everybody's asking, well, what now? We've put up all-time highs, got up above 100,000. What are we doing now? What's going to happen to Bitcoin? Well, we'll take a look here at the oscillators in just a second. I'm definitely going to pull those up. But there's a pretty big event coming up in the future, right? And so in the same way that I thought it was significant that November 5th would be the breakout point, I think that there's another very important period in the future that also involves the Trumpster, DJT, Donald Trump, right? Former president and soon to be president. And that is his inauguration day. January 20th, I believe, will be the next time we break out. And until then, I do think that we will remain in this channel, right? So you can look at like how long these lines are. That doesn't matter, right? I really think these lines become a lot less relevant, but we could see quite a bit of a test lower until that day. Now, why do I say that? Why does his inauguration matter so much? I think that the inauguration is extremely important for a couple of reasons, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, Crux, actually. First of all, it's important because he needs to get in there, right? The explosive movement to the upside for Bitcoin's price that we saw on November 5th until now is all baking in the fact that he's going to be president. It's repricing Bitcoin, this commodity, this magical thing that we all have come to love. It's repricing each coin based on the fact that we're going to get a president who is pro-Bitcoin, who's going to make a Securities and Exchange Commission commissioner who is actually pro-Bitcoin, who's going to bring on a team of pro-Bitcoin people in the executive branch that could, and then activate and energize a group of pro-crypto folks in the House and the Senate, right? Really give them a green stamp of approval. All that has been why we got to 100,000 and above. It's because the market is repricing the Donald Trump win. Now he has to actually get in that office, right, and actually get in there and start ruling, right? And so that's a hurdle we have to get through because the history of American presidents has not been perfect in terms of them living the whole time they were in office. So you can kind of read between the lines what I'm talking about there.
Right.
We want him. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, you really want Donald Trump to get in office. And there's already been 2 attempts to prevent him from getting into the actual Oval Office. Some may say 3. All right. But then the day after, right, is also extremely important because he's going to have a huge laundry list of things that he's going to do on his first day in office, right? And a couple of them are going to be crypto related, right? The biggest one is announcing that the Bitcoin strategic reserve is going to be happening and enacting that, doing it, ordering the proper offices to move the Bitcoin that is being custodied in one department into the department that is held by the Treasury, right? That's going to be a very big moment, and that's what the market is pricing in currently, right? But there's been a movement to the downside. So Crux, do you think that that's an important moment in time, Trump's inauguration for the chart? Or do you think that there's much bigger or more important macro factors that are actually keeping Bitcoin suppressed here?
Yeah, I think especially when you have like articles, headlines, people love to see pictures and everything that, people go out and they vote, they put their time into, getting Donald Trump, who is very pro crypto, into office. I think that's very bullish for the markets as a whole. And I know this, I spent, the past week or so in New York, and some of that time was on Wall Street. And one of the restaurants that I got to spend time at, it was called Delmonico's, and it's actually the oldest restaurant in New York, and it's right there on Wall Street. So while I was eating dinner there was a couple bankers that were sitting behind me, 2 different tables, and both of them were talking about crypto. And I think the interesting part is none of them were talking about Bitcoin in particular. One table was talking about Dogecoin, and then the other one, I think, was a couple other meme coins. So it was very interesting, but Wall Street, has the attention, or crypto has the attention of Wall Street. And, Donald Trump he's one of the biggest figures right now that is currently pumping the price. And I do agree. I think his inauguration is definitely going to pump the price of Bitcoin.
Very cool. Yeah. So I really do think it's that simple. I think there was a lot of folks who were tending to overthink it during that period of downtrending, kind of chop that we got through from March through the election. right? And fundamentally, I really think that the market the whole time was pricing in, or was waiting rather, to price in a Trump victory, right? We got the Trump victory and we saw the explosive move to the upside, right? I think the same thing is happening here. Is it's the market's like, yeah, we
Hmm.
got past the first hurdle for 2025 explosivity, but now, we have to get through that second hurdle. Trump has to get in office and then have all those first day executive orders, one of which being very, very bullish for Bitcoin. The others of which, by the way, we'll get into at some point, not in this episode, but could be potentially very, very bearish for markets when we think about tariffs on other countries that can produce goods and services cheaper than the United States. But that'll be for our Discord chats. That'll be for potentially other episodes. But we like to keep it crypto here on the Investing Bros 3 p.m. live stream. All right. So I told you all we would look at the oscillators. Let's go ahead and check them out. The first thing, I will look at the weekly oscillators, although I will tell you they are bearish. So here on the oscillator matrix from LuxAlgo, you can see that we had a reversal dot back here last week. It was. So this is marking the move down, and we don't know exactly when the momentum will shift back to being bullish, but we did see it back here in January 2024. Go ahead and find support around that 76 level. Okay. Currently, we have not left 80. We have not lost the 80 level here for the hyperwave, but we are seeing excessive buying go ahead and end. Actually, we never got to that excessive buying level, or we just barely tipped in there. Either way, what it's showing is that we could have been more euphoric, and we did not get to that level on Bitcoin for the weekly candlesticks at least. All right, so let's go look at the MACD, take a look at it, and it tells a different but still pretty bearish story, which is, this bear cross that's starting to form. We saw a bear cross back here. We'll look at that and see how that played out on the price. But we're also seeing downward momentum here in the green histograms, or decelerating green histograms, right? So that shows that the bears are losing momentum. Now, this doesn't mean that you should sell. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think what it's showing, though, is that we are taking a breather, and the extreme levels of buying that we saw through here are likely coming to, well, not likely coming to an end. They have come to an end, right? And so we're taking a breather after hitting an all-time high at around 108 and some change. And now we're repricing to the downside, seeing, okay, where is support? How low can we go before the market says, actually, the price cannot go lower than this? All buyers will just go to the exchanges and they will buy if the price goes to this level. Back here in March of 2024 through the breakout period, price never got below 50,000, right? It never got down into 49. It wicked very, very briefly down to that level, but buyers refused to stop buying at that level. They refused price at that level. That is strong support. And really, you could make an argument that we didn't even get any candlestick closes below 54.8, right, during that same period. We're going to find a level of support in this channel that we're at now. Now, it may be where we are today, and we may never have to redraw this line, or we may have to redraw the line to the downside, right, before we get to that inauguration day. So this is kind of the way that I'm looking at it. We could drill down to the 4 hour, skipping the 1 day, and do a little TA on this as well. Let's go ahead and jump right into, actually we will go to the daily chart because something significant happened for Bitcoin on the daily chart. This is going to be the smart the smart trail here actually got flipped. Okay, so the smart trail here was first penetrated through back here on December 19th on the daily chart, but we never got down to the actual line down here at 93.7. Now we have. Okay, so live price is 92.5, and that is going to be a flippening of the smart trail. Now, we haven't seen this happen since going all the way back to September 21st was the last time. I'm sorry, that would have been the bearish time. Yeah, so this was the last time we flipped the smart trail bullish And back here was the last time we actually flipped it bearish. So, and that was back in early August. So really the question now is, how low do we go? Because now the smart trail is saying, okay, we need to get back up to 105 for investors or for Lux Algo on the daily to consider this to be a bearish trend to the upside. So that's really what we're looking at here on the daily chart. I'll go ahead and look at the oscillators. Accelerating bearish red histograms, not great. Your MACD and your signal line are pointing down. Your Lux Algo matrix, also money flow coming down, hyperwave coming down. It's dismal. It's dismal at the weekly. It's dismal at the daily chart. And yet, we're going to see that there are many sophisticated operators that are still buying and buying for the first time as well. But make no mistake, Bitcoin right now is not looking very bullish, right? And we've been telling you this for a while. It's been overextended. We've been talking about this for quite some time. So here in the Investing Bros, so if this is a surprise to you, welcome to the channel for the first time. Make sure you smash the like button and go ahead and consider subscribing to this channel so that you can know what is going to be coming up next. Okay? But just because the chart looks bearish now, and I think that there's a better chance than not that we will come down and test some lower levels, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should stop buying or that you should end your DCA strategy into Bitcoin and into altcoins, right? We're going to get into why here in just a second. But before I do, let me go ahead and flip it over to Crux. Crux, what are your thoughts here on the overall market? Do you think that we do continue to go lower? We just took a look at the weekly and the daily oscillators that kind of give a measure of the momentum of price. What are your thoughts here? Do we continue to go lower into the inauguration, or do we find support right around where we are now, or maybe at 90, just at 90, and then we pump higher from there and remain sideways until the inauguration?
Sure. So I've been a firm believer that if we can end the year above 90K, that, I'm feeling more bullish. I didn't think that we'd cross 100,000 this year. If you would have asked really most people about 3-4 months ago, will we get over 100K by, this year? Most people would say no. So I do think that we did front run it. We went up, 30% plus, pushing past to $108,000. And I feel like this pullback is definitely healthy. But what I've been telling a lot of people recently is think of this year as conditioning. Last year was the accumulation phase. This year is the redistribution phase. You should be swapping out your cryptos that aren't performing well for the ones that have shown signs of momentum, like SUI, et cetera. And then next year, that's whenever you should be taking profits, and most likely we will see a peak next year. That being said, we're going through something called conditioning, right? Years like this, we will see Bitcoin retrace 20%. Last bull market, we saw Bitcoin retrace 30%, right? Now, next year, it will be a lot worse, most likely. If we do continue to have these bull markets that look very correlated with the previous ones, then, the further you go into a bull market, the more volatile it gets. So if you can't stand, the heat, they say get out the kitchen, right? And if you can't handle this 15-20% pullback, or this recent one that Bitcoin pulled back, I think a little over 10-15% at this point, next year, I wouldn't be surprised to see 30-35%, and we still move on to see higher highs. So I consider this all conditioning. And yeah, I think we're exactly where we need to be. So yeah.
That's a good way to think about it. We are where we need to be. Let me go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a reference, because we'll be using this indicator when we talk about altcoins later on. This is Bitcoin on the weekly chart with the Bollinger Bands, okay? So the Bollinger Band was flat through here, the slight down tilt, kind of catching up with this downtrending channel, right? And now the Bollinger Band has kind of chastened, kind of sped up and moved to the upside, and it is currently at 75,600 for Bitcoin on the weekly chart. Okay, so it is currently, from the live price down to that Bollinger Band, 18% off the Bollinger Band, the 20-day moving average. Okay, why is that important? It's above it, right? It's really directional, and then we're also double digits higher than the Bollinger Band, right? So that's bullish. that's right where we need to be if you're a bull. It may not feel bullish right now, especially if you bought, kind of in this zone. If you got into Bitcoin for the first time and started to buy it up in this zone, it may not feel bullish. That's because you're coming to a market late, right? And when you're late, you do get punished, but you will get rewarded the longer you stay. Okay, people that bought here, right, felt pretty late, and just think about how difficult it was to buy there and then hold all through this period, right? That would have been very, very difficult. But you don't want to be the guy who holds the whole way and then sells here, right? Right before you're about to have the pump, right? You want to be the person ultimately that buys here and that is in the green the whole time and feels comfortable and level-headed for the big pump and breakout, right? That's who you really want to be. You want to be early to the market. If you weren't early to the market, it sucks. It's a disadvantage, but that doesn't mean that you're invested in the wrong product. Because if you're zooming out, you look at this asset, the story of it is winning, right? Mm-hmm. Just like Donald Trump. The story of it is just winning, 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 and up and to the right. And right now, there is, in my opinion, not very much that the chart is telling me to be bearish about in the long term. Sure, could we come down to 90,000? Could we even maybe come back down and check 85,000? It's possible, right? Because a lot of the weak hands that bought in up here are capitulating. They're looking at their rent coming due right at the end of December. They're wanting to go buy a flashy new watch for their girlfriend for Christmas, whatever it is, and they're selling Bitcoin and they're losing out on being an owner of a very, very important asset. But that's going to bring us to the news because there are people who are not missing out on buying an important asset, and that is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy bought an additional 5,262 Bitcoin for $561 million. This is significantly less than their usual DCA. However, this is not nothing, right? It's a lot more money than I have to be able to buy Bitcoin. And it's great, right? This is great. This is adding buy pressure to Bitcoin. And this is ultimately very, very bullish. And it puts a big smile on Michael Saylor's face there. But it doesn't stop with MicroStrategies. No, publicly traded Matador Technologies Incorporated approved to purchase 4.5 million Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. So the momentum is continuing to build for corporations in North America. This one's obviously in Canada, going ahead and purchasing Bitcoin for whatever reason, for the strategic reserve asset or just to hold on the balance sheet, right? Now, does it stop there, Crux? No, it does not, because we also have this headline. Publicly listed La Rosa Holding Corporation now accepts Bitcoin as a payment option for its real estate agents. And there's an interesting blurb here in the picture. This initiative provides agents with flexibility to receive certain payments in digital assets, marking a progressive step towards integrating blockchain technology into real estate transactions. So while they're not buying Bitcoin here, they could actually be doing something that's a lot more significant, right? Which is bringing Bitcoin into the world of real estate. Now, they're not going to be the first to put two and two together here, that Bitcoin and real estate could potentially dance, but they're doing it, right? And why is that significant? Because there is risk to doing things with Bitcoin, right? But more and more, we're seeing corporations, nonprofits, governments, and U.S. pension funds going ahead and saying, Bitcoin is worth the risk. Let's go ahead and buy some. And with this headline, enable our agents to receive Bitcoin for real estate transactions. So Crux, this is obviously very bullish. These are the kinds of headlines that keep folks like you and me in these assets, because we see week after week, day after day, month after month, the momentum building for Bitcoin, not diminishing. What are your thoughts here on seeing MicroStrategies and others embracing Bitcoin with open arms?
Yeah, super bullish on it. You know, these companies are really what has spurred the recent price of Bitcoin to push past 100,000. And that being said, we're looking at the top 10 S&P 500 companies not invested in Bitcoin. You're talking about Apple, you're talking about Microsoft, Google, etc. Tesla is the only company that has Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and we're already past a $2 trillion asset. So to me, if we were to have one institutional cycle, I don't think we're fully here yet. I think we need to see those other companies that are in the S&P 500 to really be exposed, and then we also have these other asset managers such as Vanguard that are not near as exposed as BlackRock is, and Vanguard is, I believe, the second biggest asset under management behind BlackRock. So we have companies like MicroStrategy that are going up the charts very quickly. I believe that one day we will see MicroStrategies break into the top 30, hopefully. Companies by market cap, and if these other companies don't do anything about it, they may end up breaking into the top 10, because Bitcoin is outpacing everything right now. And those that decide to put it in their balance sheets are just doing phenomenally well. Tesla, MicroStrategy, and these other companies. And I think soon Apple, et cetera, will follow. Will it happen this bull market? I'm not sure. Most likely it'll happen next bear market. That's why I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I think we're super early, guys. So hodl onto those tokens. Do not give them away.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate that take, Crux, and I do tend to agree. We are early, and we should continue to be bullish despite this 15% correction from all-time high. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into this next headline. This one's kind of interesting. President-elect Donald Trump, maybe you've heard of him, he names Bo Hines, executive director of the Crypto Council, in his administration. This one's a little bit of a head-scratcher, as Bo Hines does not have anything about crypto in his bio here. But if you scroll through, it quickly becomes apparent that Bo Hines is essentially MAGA, right? He's a big Trump guy, he's a big Trump supporter. It does leave you a little bit wanting when it comes to his relationship with crypto, especially considering he's going to be the director of the Crypto Council in the Trump administration. But what does bring me comfort are these words from David Sachs, the host over at the All In podcast, when he said this: "It's been a pleasure to work with Bo Hines during the transition, and I look forward to continuing our partnership in the new administration. The Crypto Council is a new presidential advisory group on digital assets I will chair, and Bo will be executive director. Exciting times ahead. Thank you, President Trump." So, Crux, as Donald Trump continues to assemble his crypto A+ team here, what are your thoughts with this addition?
So this is really the first time that I heard of this character. I know he's an ex-pro football player, or maybe not even pro. I knew he was an ex-football player. That being said, I'm whenever you think about like what people of our caliber, just like the normies of the world, we think like Michael Saylor would fit that position perfectly well. We don't know who this other guy is, but I think that that's actually a good thing. It just goes to show that there's so much happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. And who knows? This guy might be even more bullish than Michael Saylor is on Bitcoin. Some people just don't talk about crypto because they don't want it to become their platform, right? And I think I had a couple conversations this past week about why Michael Saylor talks about Bitcoin the way he does. Why doesn't he ever mention Ethereum, or why isn't Ethereum ever mentioned at the Bitcoin conference, etc. And I think sometimes you don't want to taint your platform. And if this guy would have came out early and just talked about crypto, maybe he would have been too early to the scene and scared people off, or he would not have built the following that he had to get him to the position he's at. But I think most importantly, stuff is happening behind the scenes. Trump's he's not a fool. He's not going to put somebody that doesn't know about crypto in this position. So again, we elected a guy that we feel like is going to lead us in the right direction. And again, I'm bullish on that stance as well.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks a little bit more to where we are situated in the crypto market, that we are not as informed about who Bo Hines is. I'm excited by David Sachs being confident and about the prospect of Bo Hines coming on board. But here was the official announcement from Truth Social, from DJT. Said this. Additionally, Bo Hines will be the executive director of the Presidential Council of Advisors for Digital Assets, the Crypto Council, a new advisory group comprised of luminaries from the crypto industry and chaired by our crypto czar David Sachs. Bo is a graduate of Yale University and Wake Forest University Law School. In his new role, Bo will work with David to foster innovation and growth in the digital asset space, while ensuring industry leaders have their resources they need to succeed. Together, they will create an environment where this industry can flourish and remain a cornerstone of our nation's technical advancement. Now, what this makes me think, the way that this reads, Crux, is that there's a lot more names to be dropped, right? So far, we have David Sachs, who's a big leaguer, right? He's similar to Joe Rogan in the sense that he's kind of become a household name among intellectuals through podcasting, right? He was very popular with VCs and in the Silicon Valley community, but then he started a podcast with Chamath Chapatia and some other folks, and really it launched his name into the limelight. Now we're getting Bo Hines, someone who has not had a podcast, has clearly been a big Trump supporter, but what this tells me is there may be some more names to come. And that's going to be very, very bullish as we see the names kind of pick up momentum here. So let us know. What do you think about Bo Hines in the chat? Is he somebody who you followed closely? Is he someone who disappoints you? Like, what do you guys think about this naming of Bo Hines? So far, my take is that I'm kind of neutral. It doesn't really give me any more or less bullishness around Bitcoin. This guy went to Yale. He's presumably been a practicing attorney in one way or another. He looks like, he's going to be great. He's smart. I just don't know a ton about him. Crux gives a good kind of angle on it that since he isn't as well known in the crypto community, at least, it could be kind of a signaling that, Trump has been in talks with a lot of sophisticated folks who aren't necessarily putting themselves out there publicly. So all of that. And still to note that Bo Hines is pretty well followed on Twitter. He's just, again, kind of coming from the MAGA angle more than anything, it seems, with 70,000 followers on Twitter. By the way, if you're not following Crux and I, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at Tshroom and at Crux _ of crypto. Yeah. Of crypto, yeah. Cool. Absolutely. All right. It is time, bros, to go ahead and jump into our altcoin picks. Now I'm going to go back to my chart for my first pick, and then Crux will hear your pick, and then we'll go to my second pick, and then we'll go to on from there. But my first pick is not Bitcoin, but I'm going to show you Bitcoin here. So this is Bitcoin, and this is again. I'm going to remind you of its distance from the midline of the Bollinger Band, around 18%. Right. So keep that in mind. This is on the weekly chart. I'm going to go over to my first pick, which is Solana, and show you that it is basically right on its midline of the Bollinger Band right here. So it's just, call it 6% off that midline, right? It's just tested that midline, and it looks to have found support as since the midline, it has moved up about, again, 6.5%. So that's bullish. It's also retested this downtrending line of support. And confirmed it as support. What was resistance, again, getting to maybe a little bit of TA lesson here, throughout this whole period, this downtrending line was resistance as it failed to break through once, twice, and then finally did on the third try break through quite precipitously, quite aggressively. And now the price has come back down and has checked this downtrending line. Confirming it as support. Now, it probably did confirm it as support back here on some lower time frames, but on the weekly, you can see that this was something that was being anticipated. Bros, this is Solana. This is one of the top performers of 2023, and it's coming back for me. I'm pretty sure that Solana came back because it knew that Tshroom did not get enough Solana in his altcoin bag. And so now, it has. And so Solana under 200 is a buy, in my opinion. Really under 225 is a buy. I have been buying it up, and this has been pretty much what I've been DCAing, other than the stock Core Z. And so I'm very bullish on it. So that's my first pick, Solana. Crux, what are you rocking with your first altcoin pick?
All right. So if you want to share my screen, first and foremost, we're not an NFT channel. We typically stay more about like the mid to high caps here on Investing Bros. Soon we will be launching a show called Alpha Bros, and I'll be the host of that. Super excited, in January. Be on the lookout for that. And this is the type of stuff we get into. So we have this NFT that just dropped about a week ago, not even a week at this point, as we see. Um, Past 24 hours, it's up 5%, not even a week of price action yet. However, it's looking to stabilize a little bit, but it's called Pudgy Penguins. Those that have been around since 2021 know about this project. I want to say it was closer to around the top 30 or so. But that being said, recently they launched this token and their ecosystem has shown strength. It survived a bear market. And it launched with well over, I want to say it's like 2.5 billion market cap, came down, and then we're starting to see a little stabilization. That being said, whenever I look into a project, there's things that I like to look and verify. So first of all, you have the team. If I go to their website, I'm able to see who their team is, right? Super easy to navigate, and that's something that I like, because a lot of these other platforms, they'll have their team, undoxed. You don't know, where to look at on who's going to be responsible for this project, or even how to navigate it, right? And then there's also an open marketplace, which the structure of NFTs is much different than tokens, obviously, where an NFT, a marketplace is different than like an exchange, right? To where you can list it and somebody that's willing to buy it for your price, they can come and buy it. That being said, I do think gaming and NFTs will pick up this bull market. We've had 2 years of bearish price action towards those projects. So, projects like ApeCoin and stuff like that are down 90%. But that being said, we have seen signs of momentum within gaming, and gaming and NFTs work hand in hand. So that being said, if there was any NFT project I would look at, it would be this one here, Pudgy Penguins. Their floor price is pretty high. That being said, you're looking at, I think, 18 Ethereum, just to be able to get, a basic Pudgy Penguin. They do have other items such as the poles and stuff like that, or you can just invest directly into the token itself. But yeah, this is a way you can get exposure to NFTs without having to go out and buy one directly on a marketplace as such. And yeah, so
So,
my second, oh, go ahead.
well, what is the ticker?
It's Pengu, so Pengu.
Pengu. Okay.
Yes.
And what is the current market cap on that bad boy?
It's 1.7 billion market cap.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And
Brand
when
new.
did it come out?
Mhm. So it launched, let's say, December 17th, so less than a week ago.
Okay. PEG. What was it again?
Pengu.
PNGEU.
Pengu.
All right. I just want to pull it up and see. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's not a lot of price action, not a lot of price history. But if we look at it here, these are the perpetuals on Bybit. It's coming out at 3 cents. And it kind of ICO'd, if you will, at 5 cents. So it's had a drawdown to live price of 40% and got down as low as 50%. But I will say, right now it's rocking with a higher low, and I'm sure that PEGU holders are hoping that we can get a higher high here. I'm on the hourly chart just so I could see some data. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, look, in early days, TA doesn't really matter too much when it comes to price. But before we move on to the next pick, which will
Hmm.
be my next pick, and then we'll get to your
Okay.
next pick. I think you have two more or some.
Sure.
This reminds me a lot of ApeCoin. And while ApeCoin maybe isn't the most bullish coin right now, and not a lot of investors are really fixing their gaze too much on ApeCoin, it did have a really good cycle when it ICO'd. Not exactly sure how much it did during that period of time. Let me check it out. But what do you think about that comparison, Crux?
Yeah, I think it's fair. The NFT communities often overlap. So I'm sure a lot of people that do own the Board Yacht, Ape Club projects also owned CryptoPunks, who also own, Pengus. So yeah, I think it's definitely a fair comparison. Now, ApeCoin hasn't shown the best signs of recovery, so it may be a little bit front running it. But with crypto, sometimes you want to front run it with a little bit of exposure because that's whenever you reap the most benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, again, I don't know that I'll be buying into this one just because I like to stay focused. And getting into the NFT world seems to me to be a bit of a a losing of focus. But if you're
Sure.
someone who's dabbled in NFTs, you think you know a thing or two about it, you've been profitable trading NFTs, I think this looks like a pretty good opportunity. Again, I don't think I'll be getting into it, but Crux, you've had some great picks in the past. I'll be interested to see how this one performs through 2025. My next pick is Caspa. Caspa is one we've
Ooh.
talked about a lot. If you've been in it, you've probably experienced quite a bit of gains depending on when you bought. But jumping over to the chart here, I'll show you why I'm bullish on Caspa. If we turn on the Bollinger Bands here, you can see that Caspa is actually well below its midline of the Bollinger Band, currently 19.5% lower than its 20-day moving average on the weekly. So yeah, pretty pretty low. Now, the old adage in investing is you buy low, you sell high, and I will say Caspa is pretty low here at 12 cents. So I would consider buying here. I do think that there's a lot of locked up value here that has not been fully expressed in this bull run quite yet. But as you can see, there's been a lot more trading here on MEXC for Caspa. The volume is coming back in, and we are seeing a higher low here, bros, and that is been a long
Bullish.
time since I've played that. That is bullish. That's right.
Oh, I didn't hear anything. Sorry.
Oh, it may not have played through, but
uh,
this is very very bullish. Now we did get a lower high here from the last one back here. Actually, don't need this line anymore. So that's not necessarily the most bullish thing, but that just kind of shows that Caspa is in consolidation here. Now I know that Crux is pretty bullish on Caspa as well. But the fundamental story with Caspa is intact. With anything crypto that has big things in the future, uh, is going to be usually pretty bullish. Caspa was the top performing crypto in 2023, um, so that's bullish in and of itself. And it hasn't even come out with Crescendo, the hard fork, quite yet. That is going to
mhm.
be very big because that's a big step towards smart contracts on a proof of work, right? So that's just the big, sexy, juicy idea in crypto that hasn't been accomplished yet to address the trilemma problem.
Mhm.
And Crux, you're going to be coming out with a video on the Alpha Bros channel, going much deeper in explaining exactly what I just talked about. But
Sure.
it's very very exciting. Um, so I'm definitely excited about that, and hopefully you are too with
I am.
Caspa. But let's go ahead and jump. Maybe you could say a couple words about Caspa for yourself, but then we'll jump into your next pick.
All right. Yeah. So Caspa, that's going to be the first video I come out with on Alpha Bros as far as what a static or a project quick dive will be. I'm looking so far right now to probably publish one of those a week where I go into a mid to a low cap opportunity out there. I currently do consider Caspa a mid cap because it's sitting around number 50 or so. It did at one point break, I think, into the top 20 or might have been pretty close, maybe 25 or so. But that being said, Crescendo hard forks around the corner. Then you have Dag Knight, which hopefully next year they'll be able to implement that. And then also smart contracts. So there's three bullish catalysts that you can add on top of the exchange listings everyone already talks about. But if they're able to push all three of those developments out by next year, I'm thinking that Caspa gets to 100 billion market cap. And I know it sounds crazy, it sounds far fetched, but at that point, you're looking at a block DAG that can push, 100 or 100 blocks per second. So with Crescendo, it's pushing it to 10, and then DAG Knight, you're pushing it to 100. Each of those blocks are able to do 700 transactions, pushing Caspa to possible 70,000 TPS by next year.
Wow.
So
Wow. All right. Well,
super
we've said
bullish.
enough about Caspa, although sometimes it feels like you can't say enough
Sure.
about Caspa.
hmm
What is your next pick, Crux?
All right, so y'all know as an analyst, I like to use CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap often, and then you see they post the trending categories. You got virtuals, AI agents, and for well over a month, maybe a month and a half at this point, I've been talking about virtuals at this point, and this is the one who has made AI agents very known across the space, and they're on all the biggest platforms. So they're on TikTok, etc. But people are using them as chat bots or agents or like there's so many different use cases that you can use for these, especially with gaming. But you have all these decentralized apps and centralized apps that exist, such as Instagram, Twitter, and whenever you're on these different platforms, they don't know what you did or what this bot did. And this is kind of what I see as the transition into the metaverse. So last bull market, we had the big metaverse push with Facebook and all these other plays like Decentraland and Mana. And then this, and I don't think that we're quite ready yet to immerse our physical selves into the metaverse. So I think that these AI agents is going to be the halfway point. So we control these things that have access to multiple apps. So if you play a game, it knows what you did on TikTok, or if you play TikTok, it knows what you did, wherever else it's integrated in. And we're starting to see the biggest names, the biggest applications integrate these things. But this is the big name. It's called Virtuals Protocol. I think it currently broke into the top 50 lately, and we're talking about this outside the top 150. So this is like, as an analyst, this is what I'm looking at. What is trending? What's hot? If it's trending for over a week, I'm super bullish on it typically, because most of the time something comes in and it leaves right away. But as you can see, there's all these different agents. You have Game, Luna. Luna's the one that's integrated into TikTok. AI XBT, you can go and follow this one on Twitter, and it's really cool. It's constantly leaving tweets every 15, 20, 30 minutes when I'm asleep, and it's doing what I typically do. So I'll go out, I'll find a cool project, or I'll see that a dog just got listed on this exchange, or any news across the crypto space. This one called AIXBT, which is a separate token, it's absolutely been crushing it. Follow it on Twitter. You know, definitely higher risk. 300 mil market cap is not big at all. It's on the base ecosystem, which is something that I like. But you're starting to see Virtuals, which is a separate project. It's just what created it, just really taking off. This is a way to get exposure to AI agents, the narrative itself, before it really takes off, because I think this is the next move.
Gotcha. Okay, so you said a lot there that is going to go over
Mhm.
the heads of people watching. Some of you all, you're finally hearing somebody talk about the things you care about with virtuals and different things there. But the reality is that crypto is extremely vast, and there's all kinds of different things you can get excited about and get invested in. Virtuals, I had the chart pulled up here. Let's take a look at it, because there is something to be excited about here for virtuals. It's not, just the fundamentals. If you take a look here at the chart, this one just broke out of a downtrending line of resistance that was going back to December 16th. Okay, so it just broke out, and the candle is actually pumping to the upside right now. So that's, and if you look at the chart going back historically, like, this thing has been doing really, really well.
Mm.
It was down at 5 cents in October of this year. It's now at
Right.
$2.84, right?
Yeah.
And you saw there, somebody like Crux, who spends a lot of time understanding these projects. He's excited about the AI agent world, and there's a lot of people like him. And so investors are giving their attention to this project. I've heard it talked about by a lot of serious influencers and investors. Is it for everybody? No, because it's new, right? It has a pretty small market cap compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you're just newer to crypto, this one, you need to understand it a little bit, at least fundamentally, before you invest into it. But the charts are saying this thing is pretty bullish.
Mhm.
Again, it's a little bit more risky than we usually talk about here on Investing Bros. Which brings us to Crux. I think you had one more pick as well before we before we transition?
Yeah, I do. I'm super bullish on SUI. I've been telling the community the two projects that I'm most bullish on as far as risk to reward currently is SUI and Caspa. And we talked about Caspa a little bit earlier. But what I want to talk about SUI about is this is its first bull run. You have another narrative with the programming language move, which separates itself from everything else. And you're sitting at under a 13 bill market cap. And I want people to understand is this is extremely bullish. You're looking at a project, and I use Coin Market Cap for this. So I look at the decentralized exchanges. This is what I use to see how valuable an ecosystem is or how much liquidity is being swapped, right? And if I go by 24-hour trading volume and I see the biggest decentralized exchange that exists on SUI, I see CETUS protocol. And you're looking at over $200 million every single day that's being swapped around this decentralized app in a 24-hour period. And you're competing with the likes of PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Radium, Aerodrome. So you're competing with the biggest decentralized exchanges out there. So I'm not only bullish on CETUS, but I'm trying to show you guys that, if we're looking at just 24-hour trading volume, SUI is right up there with the likes of Solana, Ethereum, etc. And the market cap is 1/100th of, or not, maybe not 1/100th, but one fraction of what Ethereum is worth. So, SUI's been crushing it. I'm super bullish on it. A lot of people say, when's the best time to buy SUI? I always say yesterday because this thing is not slowing down. It's super bullish. It would have been nice to buy it, in October. But, I think this is one of those projects that could definitely hit 100 billion plus market cap this bull market. And I would not be surprised.
There you go. And for those of you who are, again, newer to crypto, there's what's called ecosystem coins, right? So there's the layer ones like Ethereum and Solana and SUI that we just talked about. And then on the layer one blockchain, there are other sometimes dApps, right, that provide utility. And then there's also meme coins that can be built on top of that layer one. And so this is the DEX, correct? CETUS is the DEX for SUI.
Yeah, it's the number one decentralized exchange on SUI.
And so that, for a lot of folks who like to go further out onto the risk curve, what do I mean by that? When you buy Bitcoin, right, that's the least risky crypto that there is, right? And then you buy Ethereum, that's the second least risky that there is, and then, so on and so forth on down the line. You get to some pretty higher risk coins by the time you reach CETUS. But CETUS is much lower risk because it is a utility token, right, on a up and coming very hot layer one, which is SUI. So just wanted to break all that down for you all, connect the dots, because Crux is down on the trenches, right, as we like to say. And so we bring him on to kind of surface a lot of this knowledge that he's picked up down there in kind of the lower levels of crypto, where there's a lot more outsized opportunities. You hear about people becoming millionaires in crypto. You don't become a millionaire by investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You could if you're starting with $500,000, you could, right? But if you're coming into crypto and you only have 200, 800, 5,000, 20,000, you can't expect to become a millionaire realistically.
Sure.
You could if you bought Bitcoin really, really early, like in 2010, right? You'll be much more than a millionaire. But if you want to try to replicate that success, which I don't necessarily endorse attempting to do, because it's a very high risk pursuit in general to do with your own money, you're going to only be able to accomplish that in some of the lower level cryptos. And by lower level, I mean lower market cap, less than $1 billion market cap. And if you are interested in learning more about these types of coins that you actually could potentially make quite a bit of money, more than just double, more than just triple your initial investment, go ahead and check out the free Discord down in the link below. This is going to drop you into our Discord where you can ask questions. And if you're ready to take that next step and invest in your trading and investing career, right, you can go ahead and check out our membership tiers, which are not free like our free Discord. But these membership tiers are going to get you access to a lot of next level, more advanced services from the Investing Bros community, such as trade setups such as gym watch lists that Crux assembles with names like Cetus and Pudgy Penguins, new coin. And we're spending a lot of time understanding the crypto industry at the lowest level, well, not the very lowest levels, but at the mid cap levels, to try to identify what are the gems, what are the ones that are worth taking outsized risk on that could potentially have explosive gains in the future in the 2025 bull market. And you can get all that and more, also trade setups and portfolio audits. Maybe you have a bunch of coins and they're not performing the way you want them to. We can kind of go through and comb through maybe some of the mistakes or over allocation or under allocations that you've made with your crypto portfolio. And you can do all that just by signing up here with the BroLux memberships that will unlock that. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today on the Investing Bros. I have been Tshroom. I will continue to be Tshroom. But also, I've been joined by Crux, and we've been able to have a little bit of a different show than we usually do. We usually have the bearded wonder, Tim, Tim, who spends a lot more time on the charts, talking much more in depth. But rest assured, right now we're in a 15% pullback from all-time highs on Bitcoin. It feels bearish. And it is a little bit, right? It's a little bit bearish. But in the long term, it is not. There's nothing to be bearish about at all, right? There is an event that is going to be key, which is Donald Trump getting into that Oval Office and starting to make it happen, actually putting the magic together. But until then, we don't know exactly what is going to happen. And the market is pricing in that certainty because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And the market's saying, let me take some of my profits. And the weak hands are saying, ooh, what the heck is happening? All these whales selling. What do I do? Well, they're going to sell too. They're going to capitulate. And that is like a snowball, right, that builds. And then that's how you get to 85,000 again. Are we going to get that low? Not exactly sure. But that's kind of what I'm expecting, right? Does that mean you sell now and try to buy at 85? No, the biggest mistakes that I've made in crypto, you see Crux shaking his head as well. The biggest mistakes I've made in crypto and investing is thinking I know better than the market and selling now to buy lower later. That is, it kind of makes sense in your brain, but in practice, the way that usually works out is that the market manipulators that we talk a lot about here in the Investing Bros, they always try to make it look like it's going to go lower. And then you sell, and then it just goes higher. So the best way to make money in crypto, in my opinion, the safest, most conservative way, is to just keep doing what's called DCAing, dollar cost averaging, into high conviction projects like Bitcoin and Ethereum, just month over month, week over week, and then tuning into shows like ours, like the Investing Bros, to hear about other projects that might have a higher return than Bitcoin and Ethereum, and trying to play that game as well if you feel comfortable doing that. Crux, what are some closing thoughts here that you might share with the bros as we close?
Yeah, as you do, diversify outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, always think, risk to reward. If it's not worth taking the risk or going for that reward, then you might as well not take the chance and just invest in the Bitcoin. So for most people, I'd typically tell them if it's your first bull market, have, anywhere between 50 to 75% of your portfolio in those two projects. And I also try to make sure people understand, just like, Tshroom explained it earlier, that, Ethereum, the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin are huge. One's looking to be more of a store of wealth / peer-to-peer network, and the other one's like a new internet, right? And if you invest into the internet, then you can invest into the websites, which are like the decentralized apps we're talking about, and they all need, Ethereum needs those decentralized apps like Aave and Maker, etc., for it to be so successful and have 50 billion in total value locked. So, if you're going to take that opportunity to diversify, definitely do the research. Being in the market and actually getting your emotions, understood is very important as an investor. So yeah, continue to HODL on, and as you get better at understanding crypto, then you can start taking those extra steps.
Absolutely. Well, there's very few places in the world that don't know what Christmas is, but you may potentially be listening or watching from one of them. So Christmas is a holiday that we celebrate here in the United States and around the world. It's a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. And we will be celebrating this. So in lieu of the holidays, we have released our Investing Bros Christmas week schedule. So this is what you can expect as an Investing Bros member. And so you see Crux got his Christmas tree there as well. The pagan variant of the Christmas celebration. Just kidding. And as you can see, so Monday we have our 3 p.m. show. We've just wrapping it up here. Discord, we will be doing the Q&As directly after the stream. So if you remember, you should know, I will be doing a Q&A immediately after the stream to answer any questions you all might have, trying to figure out how to navigate these crypto markets. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday, we will essentially be completely closed. Now, the Discord will still be open. You can still talk and chat and ask any questions you want. But as folks who are going to be celebrating this holiday, do not necessarily expect a response. But then, the wheels will turn back on Thursday, Friday, and as we move into the weekend, we will also do our Saturday stream at 11 a.m. So go ahead and, just spend time. We encourage you to spend time with your family and spend time with your friends who are there with you, and just celebrate Christmas, right? However you want to celebrate, no matter what it is, just celebrate Christmas, spend time with your family. Tuesday and Wednesday, get off YouTube, get off socials, get off the charts even, and really just soak in, what it means to be here on Earth, and do that with family. All right. Well, Crux, this has been a good one. This is going to be a good episode. And Thursday, Friday, more than likely, we'll have you back on as well, Crux, to kind of journey forward and to see what the heck these markets have brought in those over the Christmas break. We just might hear those footsteps on the roof of the charts as Santa Claus brings us a Christmas rally up to 120. We'll see.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Don't count it out. Don't count it out. But with that said, we will go ahead and close it out. Thank you so much, bros, for tuning in. The Q&A is going to start immediately after this. Adios.
Peace.